Committee on Wednesday, 8th of October 2025. We have apologies from Councillor Bradley. We have Councillor Brogan present here, and Councillor Brown is present here, and we have apologies from Councillor Callis and Councillor Powell, Councillor Powell, and Councillor Fulton is present here. And I can see Councillor Lennon. And also we have Councillor Loudon, Councillor Newton, and Councillor Red, as well as Councillor Walker are also present here. In addition to that, there are a number of officers present here. So I will now hand over to you, sir.
Thanks, Shanna. Feedback from the last meeting was that people in the room, if we could project our voices and speak towards the microphone, please. It should just help those that are joining us online, please.
Where's the microphone?
Just above the baby. Point. Okay, so we'll get started. Do we have any declarations of interest? Robert?
Yeah, I think Rutherglen 900, it's not a declaration of interest as such for the which item 4. It's just a noting event, which I think is okay. So I've decided to make a transparency statement that I'm chair of Rutherglen 900, and therefore obviously closely involved in these issues.
Thanks, Robert. Margaret?
At home, Robert, agenda item 4 down on Rutherglen 900, and agenda item 7, do you need to get? I was involved in item A and B, so. You're welcome.
Right.
Can I also just say that I'm on the committee of Rutherglen 900 as well?
Right, that's fine. Thank you all. Okay. Okay, we'll move to item 2, and that's the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, I'll move them as a correct record then. Can I have a seconder, please? Thanks, Katie. Okay, item 3 on the agenda is Education Scotland report for St Bride's Primary School. We're joined by Maureen Farr, lead officer, and the head teacher, Louise Torrens.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maureen Farr, and I'm currently the Quality Link Officer for Trinity Learning Community. It's my pleasure to present the Education Scotland report for St Bride's Primary School. In May 2025, a team from Education Scotland visited St Bride's Primary School and nursery class in Cambuslang as part of their national inspection programme. The team engaged with staff, children and parents and carers and worked closely with the head teacher to evaluate the school's performance across key areas. There were 4 strengths identified. Number 1, the children's confidence and engagement. Pupils across the school and nursery were found to be confident, happy and enthusiastic about their learning. They were seen to take pride in being part of the school community and demonstrated a strong sense of belonging. Number 2, positive ethos and values. The school is underpinned by strong gospel values, creating an inclusive and respectful learning environment. Relationships among staff, pupils and the wider community are supportive and positive. Number 3, staff commitment to professional development. Staff are actively engaged in ongoing professional learning. This is leading to more consistent and high quality learning experiences and is particularly effective in supporting children's well-being. And the 4th strength was support for additional needs. The school uses targeted approaches effectively to support children with additional needs. These interventions are helping children feel more included, confident and successful in their learning. There were also 2 areas for improvement. Number 1, self-evaluation and quality assurance. The school should strengthen its self-evaluation and quality assurance processes to better inform improvement planning. And number 2, consistency in learning and assessment. New approaches to learning, teaching and assessment should be embedded more consistently across the school and nursery to ensure positive outcomes for all learners. So the evaluation summary was that the outcome for St Bride's Primary was positive, with leadership of change and learning, teaching and assessment being assessed as good. An evaluation of good means that there are important strengths within the school's work and some aspects which require improvement. The strengths have a significantly positive impact on almost all children and young people. Ensuring wellbeing, equity and inclusion and raising attainment and achievement were assessed as being very good. An evaluation of very good means that there are major strengths in this aspect of the school's work. There are very few areas for improvement, and any that do exist do not significantly diminish learners' experiences. Within the nursery class, all 4 aspects inspected were judged to be good, and those areas were leadership of change, learning, teaching and assessment, ensuring wellbeing, equity and inclusion, and securing children's progress. So the next steps, Education Scotland is confident in the school's capacity to continue improving. As a result, no further visits are planned. South Lanarkshire Council will continue to monitor progress and report to parents and carers as part of its regular quality assurance processes. With the Chair's permission, I will now ask the Head Teacher, Louise Torrance, to share her highlights of the inspection and report.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here today to share with you the very positive findings following a visit from HIME in May of last session. I am honoured to be the Head Teacher of St Brigid's Primary School and Nursery class in Cambuslang. I'm very proud of all the staff, and when I talk about the staff, I'm talking about the teaching staff, the nursery staff and the support staff, and people throughout our school and nursery class for their continued dedication and hard work, not only during the recent inspection, but each and every day. I would like to highlight particular aspects of our work which were clearly evidenced during the inspection and endorsed as good or very good practice in our school and nursery class during the visit. Everything we do within our school is based on a strong foundation of gospel values, and the Catholic ethos permeates our school. Inspectors noted that staff across our school community work well together and have created a warm, welcoming and inclusive environment, and as a result, our children feel happy, safe and valued. Our whole school community places high importance on children's emotional and social well-being. Our staff foster caring and supportive relationships with each other and with the children, which helps create a calm, nurturing place where children can grow and learn, and our families feel valued and included. Our children are happy, confident and enthusiastic about their learning and are proud to be part of St Bride's school community. The children told the inspectors that they take an active role in decision making through their leaders of learning groups, where their views are valued, respected and listened to, and they see themselves as people who can make a real difference in the school and community. Inspectors noted that staff plan transitions very well from nursery throughout each stage in primary school and on to secondary. This careful planning ensures continuity in our children's learning, well-being and progress. Our children requiring additional support benefit from enhanced transition programmes which supports their individual needs. Staff's nurturing of family and community relationships is a strength of our school community, and we have a very active parent council who work tirelessly for the benefit of all our children. Our staff are committed to engaging in high quality professional learning, which enables them to support children's well-being across the school and nursery very well. Our trained staff deliver nurture intervention programmes designed to meet individual needs, which, as well as being delivered within class, often take place in our bespoke Crystal House nurture room. This dedicated nurture space provides children with a calm environment where well-established routines support and ensure children's emotional development needs are met very well. Our staff are particularly sensitive to the needs of our children who experience trauma, including bereavement, and our families gratefully appreciate the sensitive support of our staff, which is helping our children develop resilience and overcome difficulties, which in turn is having a positive impact on children's readiness to learn. Inspectors noted that a few children require additional support in their learning, and through rigorous and effective tracking and monitoring of children's progress and the implementation of appropriate interventions, ensure children make very good progress towards their individual learning targets. Inspectors noted that our attainment in literacy and numeracy across the school and nursery is good, very good, and most children achieve expected curriculum for excellence levels at the appropriate time. They also noted that in nursery, almost all children are making very good progress in health and wellbeing. Our staff use digital tools consistently to enhance and capture learning using a range of digital devices. Our children in both school and nursery are developing technological skills through progressive, well-planned opportunities and can talk confidently about the skills they are learning. We are immensely proud of all our children's wider achievements. Staff recognise, share and celebrate children's achievements both within and out of school regularly through school assemblies, wider achievement displays and social media posts. This builds children's confidence well. We are delighted that the inspectors noted the work we have carried out to increase attendance for a targeted group of children. We monitor attendance rigorously and take prompt action when a concern is identified. Over the past 2 years, a highly successful Test of Change project supported by the local authority has led to improved attendance for individual children. Inspectors noted that our families benefit from an increasingly supportive culture across the school. A key factor in this success has been the significant improvements in staff empathy and relationship building with families regarding barriers to attendance. The inspectors noted that as head teacher, I have led an ambitious plan to improve the school and nursery and make positive changes. The lead inspector stated that she is confident that it will continue to build on the progress we have made, and with the robust improvement plan we have in place, I'm confident that this will enable our school community to meet the recommendations given within the report. The inspection experience was both very demanding and positive. The report has been a great acknowledgement of the hard work and dedication of staff, pupils, families and the wider community of St Bride's Primary School and Nursery class, where our children are at the heart of everything we do. We pride ourselves on effective partnership working and positive relationship building, and we are confident that these strong bonds will support the continuous cycle of improvement and continue to see St Bride's Primary community a joyful place where we can dream, we do believe, and we will achieve great things together. Colleagues in the local authority central team have been a great support to me and the school community prior to and during the inspection visit, and I would like to thank them publicly for their professional input and pastoral care. Thank you for the opportunity to share an inspection experience with you all this afternoon.
Thanks very much. Okay, we'll open up to questions now. Norman?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate everybody at school for this good report. It just goes to show the excellent work that staff and pupils at St Bride's are putting in, so well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Norman. Katie? Thanks, first of all, for taking the time out of your busy day to come and speak to us. And you sound understandably very proud of the pupils and your staff as well. And you should be proud of yourself for an excellent report. I'd be really interested to hear a wee bit more about the Test of Change project around attendance. I know it's a really hot topic locally and nationally.
We had the opportunity 2 years ago when the local authority were looking at this, because we also within the school realised that for some of our children there were barriers to them attending to school. So we monitor attendance and we work with parents. So through the Test of Change project, the deputy head teacher was in charge of that, and she monitored attendance, met with parents on a regular basis, phone calls, emails, letters, to try to understand what were the barriers to attendance. And it was also to change that kind of focus. When children arrive late, it's like when we arrive late, every time we feel you're always playing catch up throughout the day. But it was a case of just welcoming children in the door and saying it's great to see you, and you come, and just getting on with the day. And trying to support parents if there were any issues around travel, breakfast, encouraging we've had the breakfast club there to understand what were the barriers and to take away the stigma of you're late, why are you late? And focusing on it's great to see you, welcoming. We took part in that Test of Change last year as well, and that information that we did was also shared amongst the local community, the local authority, and also with Education Scotland. The authority worked with Education Scotland on that as well. And continuing on from that piece of work, we're now looking at late coming to see what we can do about late coming. So for the targeted group of children, There was a positive impact for all of them, and their attendance increased throughout the year. And it's just continuing to monitor that and encourage to be part of that and to be part of that belonging, and to be at the heart of what we do and take away the stigma. So it was a positive impact, and we continue to build on that this year coming.
Sounds very straightforward, doesn't it? But you know, it's like it's obviously making a difference, which is great. It's taking away the kind of stigma, judgment. Yeah.
And sometimes it is just about trying to do the really simple things and to ask parents, you know, tell us about your morning, what happens in the morning. And our parents, like we all are doing a million and one things, from children to pets to parents. You're doing everything and supporting everybody. And it's just about how can we support you to get to school? Can we look at privileged person in the bus? Can we look at someone maybe supporting you in community? Can we look at coming with friends? It's just looking at the various options to be ways.
Great, thank you. You did touch on trauma and bereavement. Could you tell me a wee bit more on that, please?
Sadly, over the last couple of years, and I start to get very emotional, we have had children within the school who've lost their parents. One wee chap in particular lost his mum and dad within an 8-week period, and who's now being looked after by his grandparents. We also have had, I've had a phone call from a parish priest to say, we Jimmy's at school, but just to let you know, his dad's died. So we've had various children over the last couple of years who have lost either one parent or both parents, and the impact of losing a grandparent or an extended member of the family has a huge impact on our children, because we very much, when I talk about our school community, I talk about our parents, our carers, our grandparents, our aunties and our uncles, because they're all involved in that care of the child. So it's important that we support our children through that. So we looked into doing some bereavement training, that we did rainbow training that we've done, and our staff opted into that to support the children through bereavement. We are all trauma informed. We're very much aware of adverse childhood experiences. We have a huge range of resources for the children, books for the children to talk about their emotions and their feelings, and all our staff are able to use resources to engage with children so that we give them the vocabulary and the language to understand how they're feeling. But particularly with the bereavement, we understand that these children need that extra care, attention and understanding, and be able to offer that to families and to the children. And that's having a positive impact, that the children know that they're loved and cared for, and that when they come to school, that school should be the best days of your life. And for children, it should be a wee oasis where you're safe and you're secure and you don't need to worry about what's going on. And we do that for our children. So the work that we've done over the last few years, and that was recognised by the inspectors, that the care and welfare of our children is very much at the heart of what we do.
Fantastic, thank you. Do we have any further questions? Okay, is committee happy to note the report? Okay, congratulations on a very positive report, and it's great to see the work that's
Thank you
your
very
work
much. I
today.
really appreciate the opportunity
Thank you.
to brag about.
No, I've said this before, I do like it as well when there's just the one school on the agenda, because then I feel you get the attention that you deserve, you know, so yes.
And you're not comparing it in deal.
Thoroughly deserved, you deserve the praise, thank you. Feel free, I know there's nothing else on the agenda for you, so feel free to leave if you wish to.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your time today. Okay, we'll move to item 4 on the agenda, and that's an update from Ian Stratton on the Rutherglen 900.
Thank you.
Ian.
Yes, afternoon, members. So, purpose of the report, advice committee, a civic function to be held to mark the 900th anniversary of the Charter of the Royal Brother of Rutherglen. As noted in the report, following consultation with the provost, a civic function is proposed to commemorate this significant milestone and recognise the town's historical and cultural contributions. What we're planning is an event in the town hall, including a formal lunch, refreshments, short address from speakers, approximately 100 attendees, including elected members, community leaders and representatives, probably thinking around June next year. Estimating the cost of 3,000, that be dealt with under the Chief Executive's delegated authority, meet the cost of the civic budget. So we'll subject to any feedback, we'll set that aside. And then just looking for the committee to note that this will be held on a date to be finalised, and the brief details which I've summarised there. But we thought it was important just to bring that here to area committee for its visit.
Great, thanks, Ian.
I'm taking any questions.
Any questions or comments for Ian? No. Okay, we have to note the contents of the report. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 5 on the agenda, and that's community engagement update, and that's from Jen here. Thanks, Jen.
Hi everyone, first time I've been in an in-person meeting like this in a while. It's the glasses because on the screen, that's all I need. So excuse me for the on and off. Get some very focused apparently. So right, hi, I'm pleased to be back. I'm back with my annual report on the activities of the community engagement team for the year 24-25. So the year past. We're happy to answer any other questions about what we've been up to lately as well. So the first section of the report just gives you a bit of background on how the team came about and some of its role in the delivery of our community improvement duties, both as a council and as a collective community planning partner. So we host the main team that undertakes the locality planning duties under community planning on behalf of all of the partnership, and some of the information in this report in Appendix 1. Well, actually, Appendix 1 is the information report that outlines how all of our partners have met that duty through the work of this team. Excuse me, sorry. So section 4 provides a bit of a summary of some of the areas for Cambuslang and Rutherglen in the annual report. Burn Hill has been always very busy. They've been doing lots and lots of activities, engaging new residents, as many as they can for the area, and have introduced a new men's shed, which has been very popular and very busy. They've also been successful in sourcing some green sources of electricity for the site. So they now have the porta cabins as well as sources of electricity and heat that are entirely renewable. And I mean, I think, was it last March, I think we were out there. It was pretty cold still. It wasn't quite great. And we were like, you know, even still, we don't want a physical building. We love being outside. We love the outdoors of everyone coming in. But it would be nice to have a bit of peace. So we're really pleased that that's been successful for them. And actually, that means that more and more people can come and use those facilities because they are a bit warmer for some of the other residents who I don't think enjoyed sitting around in a bit of cold that often. In Cambuslang East, we've got stakeholders there, but not as formalized as some of the stakeholder groups that we work with. But they've been very busy looking at working towards their local priorities in their plan, looking at some of the groups they'd like to establish. We're focused on children, young people, and parents, working with the school and some local community groups to provide other groups and more social and educational opportunities for families and children. All of this, again, all of this is supported by participatory budgeting for communities to take forward their own activities. Quite a few well-attended events were facilitated by the community in 24-25. Fireworks events in particular, it was a very large one and gathers a crowd, not just for that community, but from elsewhere. And Circuit Youth Club have been busy supporting youth working young people and taking families on trips, creating equal opportunities for that community. In Fernhill, we've got residents coming together monthly, kind of in their own way, to host monthly meetings and discuss local issues that are brought forward by local residents. And these have been very popular and successful, and relevant stakeholders coming on to talk about how we can address some of those problems together. I think the main thing to say about the sort of 4 different areas, they each operate quite brightly in their own way, the way that suits that community and the people that are activists and willing to organise and participate in that community. We're not super structured on how we take forward stakeholder groups or neighbourhood planning, as long as they're participatory and by communities. So that community's been very busy hosting its meetings, working towards its planned priorities for the kids' play schemes. We've hosted some trips and outings. There's the soccer and football activity for local young children and young people, and they're focusing on sort of preventing social behaviour and diversionary youth work. Spring Hall in Whittlesburn, one of the oldest and most established stakeholder groups, continues to meet much more formally on a 6-weekly basis. They have a clear focus this last year on building kids' connections and increasing participation. So their members have been working really collaboratively, delivering some community-based activities and events, again, funded through participatory budgeting, and have led sort of the charge with other communities on producing a community safety card that we see attached to the pack. This is just a common issue across community antisocial behaviour. And in a lot of cases, it's just not getting reported because people just don't know how to do that. So we kind of talked about some of the solutions that communities can bring on for themselves. So you have to encourage others to make reports quite confidentially and how that will help. And mainly, I think if the police just don't know what's happening, it's difficult for them to assign resources to do it. So this year, we've got a single annual report across all areas rather than one for each area. And this reflects just some of the reduction in activity across the whole thing of work in that particular financial year. We focused a lot on some of the asset transfers and reorganized some of our resources into accumulated asset transfers across the piece, because that was the year to remember when we had all the surplus assets and budgets that were being either closed or transferred. So we really had to focus on across all areas on that instead of in community development aspects. But it's been a worthwhile investment in all the assets that we transferred have started to take up their role in community spaces. And it's been really great to see that empowerment and participation around the changes in those communities. And 24-25 was the first year outlined in section 5 that we undertook a large scale participatory budgeting exercise across all of our neighbourhood planning areas at the same time. We had a relatively small budget in the past, about £40,000. So we didn't have as many areas as well. So we kind of go 2 here and 2 there. They were very localized and very unstructured and informal, and they built significant empowering approaches for communities. However, we have had some difficulty with their informality. It requires just a little bit more structure in terms of conditions, making sure we know the funds and monitoring and reporting. And also the source of the money of shared prosperity, we were able to invest £15,000 into the participatory budget comes with a lot of formality and structure and rigidness. So we worked at very quick notice. It was an opportunity to use that money, but it had to be used quickly and it had to be given out quickly and spent quickly, and receipts had to be kept. But we did it, and we worked with all of our local stakeholder groups to kind of devise the best way to go about doing that. And this was the year where we left it as open as possible because of conscious we didn't want to close on this really lovely piece of work with a whole bunch of set of bureaucratic rules, but we did need to put some in place. I'm pleased to say that exercise, well thought with quick and frantic, a lot of money, get this organized, get it up and running, did see the largest number of applications we've had ever. And actually it was the first time we've ever had an oversubscribed participatory budgeting program, which kind of increases the competitiveness of it, but also we think it's the fun, but not everybody enjoys the competitiveness of participatory budgeting processes. So it likewise also increased the amount of people participating in voting. We had twice the amount of people who vote that more than we've ever had before. And while we were doing that voting, we asked people about their neighbourhood plans, and we asked them to rewrite them. And just for clarity, we only undertake participatory budgeting processes in neighbourhood planning areas because we're targeting resources into some of our most deprived and unemployed neighbourhoods. So it really helps to bring the community together, and it's a great empowerment tool. It's a great tool for communicating with groups. And also it means that we can invest in the local stakeholders and community groups who want to take forward their priorities for themselves through that plan. So put a 5.6 outlines the total budget for each of the areas and the amount of projects that came in and what was funded for that year. And Appendix 2 gives just quite a bit more detail, and Appendix 3 actually as well, a bit more detail on each area, what was funded, who was successful, and what they did with it. We're still just compiling the reports since we've now had all the reports back since the summer there. We're just compiling the outcomes. We're still missing a few. Learned some capacity building issues and completing reports with some of the communities. And so we're really looking forward to just kind of start to demonstrate the impact that that's had in those communities, what it's done for the youth clubs, the gardening groups, the social outings, and those things, and what that's brought to that community in the future. Section 6 is really just an update because the final awards were paid out during that financial year in May. You'll maybe remember me attending this meeting back in May 2024 with the Camden Community Fund. So this budget was £200,000 to award £10,000 or less grants to areas that were not neighbourhood planning areas. So councillors provided this budget to the team to make sure there was some equity of access to funds for areas that weren't native planning areas across Cambuslang and Rutherglen. And at that time, we didn't have that many applications for the area, and only one of them was actually eligible and met the criteria, and it was states provided with funding. I think that meeting we'd been asked about, you know, why is that? Why is Cambuslang a big funding black spot? And we've been working with Aslan and their wellbeing fund and sort of promoting surgeries and just supporting, you know, kind of being fit for funding. Some of the groups did struggle with giving us some receipts and formalities and copies of bank accounts and constitutions. So we think there's just a bit of a capacity issue there in terms of, you know, accessing public funds and or even private sector funds, you know, Lottery, Foundation Scotland. It does require a degree of formality. So we're hoping that sort of some of the can do and the participative budgeting type activities helping our groups actually learn how to do that better so that they can broaden and widen their access to funds to fund their activities. Items number 7, or section 7, outlines the community asset transfers that took place across the locality. Not too many actually in Cambuslang, and we had a total of 2 inquiries in that year. One full asset transfer request was validated, which means that it was approved, but it's still in the process of being taken forward and completed, and that was Eastfield Hall. 2 halls were leased as well under the concessionary leases, which was at the time known as the Cat Lake process, where they were allowed to sort of try before you buy and do short-term temporary leases. So Ledburn Elderly Project, the LEAP project, took on Toll Pitch Hall and Spittle Hall, and it's making great use of them. So these leases should then lead to the applicant bodies applying for longer term leases and purchases in the future. And this has been very busy and very condensed within that financial year. There's a time frame on taking that forward. And the community wish list, section 9, this is where we get local suppliers and local businesses and suppliers in our supply chain to provide as part of their contract with the council to provide a community benefit to the community, and they get some points off of their what's it called, financial contributions that they're to make as part of their agreement, their planning agreement and contract. So Cambuslang Rutherglen had a total of 19 wishes answered, and that was worth about £11,400. 7,100 of that were in actual just direct financial donations. So it's nice to see a food bank giving £1,000, some play clubs, play schemes, high backs. Oh no, not high backs. Sorry, didn't get that. The League Group, Burn Hill Action Group, the Bankhead Residents Association, Project 31, Skill. Who else? Wednesday Legends. I'm not sure who that's right. You guys might know that would be. Community bodies all receive financial donations from local suppliers and local businesses. Sometimes businesses just want to sign up and offer help. Also, some interesting ones. We had a shredding truck. That's one for Burn Hill. An offer of a shredding truck to come around, park up in a community for a day. We thought, what can we do with that? And actually, in terms of community safety and elderly persons' data and all that kind of stuff, and we had young people helping them carry their bags of bank statements and things off to the shredder and putting them in safely. And it was really nice to kind of see people come out. We had tea, coffee outside the truck, and we had a bit of an event. But actually, it was really interesting and really useful for people, and hopefully has helped improve the safety of elderly people and the financial safety of elderly people in the community. So successful little project, the community wish list, and it's still going strong. It's year on year. I think we just hit the 100,000 mark across the area now as well with it. So we've also got our period positive resource in the team where we provide access.
Sorry, somebody could very quickly. The room was too cold. Was it this one? No. No, might do that all. Thank you.
Where we provide free period products in all public buildings and community-based buildings. So we have a service where we take orders online and make sure that they get delivered right through across the region, and just outlines there how many boxes we distribute across the area. And the last item in the report talks about the community partnerships, which is the first report I ever came to provide to this group about the purpose of the community partnerships. They're a regional locality level partnership, and they're clearly community led and chaired and participated. They have terms of reference. They are made up of stakeholder groups, participants from the area, community agencies from the area, and any relevant development trust type of organizations. They are structured as a community planning partnership, and the chair of these partnerships has a seat on the community planning board where they bring forward their own reports and speak on behalf of their communities. They're supported by the CPP funded development officer who helps them with the governance, with their assessments, with their the general management, just to take some of the burden off them, but also to support them to learn to participate in this type of environment. The papers for a CPP board meeting are huge. They're technical. They're not really something that volunteers can't wait to get their hands on and read on a quarterly basis. So we do. The development officer sits in our team on behalf of the partnership and supports that. This is one of our most established partnerships. It's very functional. Cheryl Burnett is the chair of it. I'm sure many of you know Cheryl. She's very proactive and a fantastic leader. She's actually been supporting the newer partnerships in the other areas in Clydesdale and cities that like to establish themselves and take on board the benefits that she's seen this partnership have in terms of speaking for themselves and what that can bring for them. They've had a very busy program of self-reflection and improvement this year, undertaking a self-assessment alongside the community planning partnerships with strengths and weaknesses. They've decided they want to do a lot of work on how to induct and support volunteers to understand the community planning environment and attacking an approach function and focus of the partnership and all of its structures. This is because of the history of this group and how long it's been around. They've grown quite significantly in their confidence and capacity, and they're considering constituting themselves, making them completely independent and completely responsive to their membership, to be their membership bodies and local residents. And we would have to, in a community planning partnership, work out how that would then relate back to what would keep it as a community partnership body and what the conditions for that would be, how representative it would have to be, etc. They've been keeping the Police Scotland busy, coming with reports from the local office and when it being opened. They've been speaking to Fire and Service Rescue and looking at the new priorities for the neighbourhood plans and updating themselves and learning around changes to the community scheme in the year. So I will leave that with you and ask you to know the report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Jem. It's a very comprehensive update. Thank you. Okay, we'll open it up to questions. Katie? Thanks, Chair, and thanks very much. It was a really comprehensive report. I've got two questions on two unrelated issues. Sorry. First one, so 5.6, so it's talking about the PV project. So I represent Cambuslang East, and it's really great news. I was pleased to hear that about the minibus and the toddler group being set up. I think it's a great project. Looking at that table though, in terms of the number of applications there were from the Cambuslang East area, so it's roundabout, slightly more, but roundabout in a par with Springbok, but lower in terms of applications. But for want of a better word, there seems to be a lower hit rate of them actually than being successfully funded or partly funded. I've got the information about being ready to apply for funding. It was quite interesting, and the support you're giving there. I just wondered if that was related to what we're seeing in Cambuslang East. Is it a sort of the idea?
I'm not sure where across the locality exactly, but I can find out if there's a specific region. Definitely sort of the Rutherglen actually they've gotten very good at funding. They've definitely have the benefit of that. We had a committed market a couple of years before that. But I think it's just pretty much almost just through all areas. Yeah, especially some of the newer smaller groups, they're just very informal and they're constituted. Got their liability insurance. In some cases, we do tend to make sure they have that kind of stuff in place, especially when they want to do things with children and families. In Vasland, that's a real development for Vasland as well. I've been great about coming in there and helping with that. We haven't really got sort of an assessment of community capacity. And it's probably that we're doing something more for Cambuslang to share forward in our team, but we're trying to kind of just help them become more aware that, people do want to raise funds, we do want to take forward activities, are going to have to be accountable for that, and make sure you do all the safeguarding and having, bank accounts and treasury and extra sort of accounts every year. We have found some difficulties in some of the more smaller amounts of funding we've given out in previous years that's just a bit less formal. And we've kind of had to work with groups just to make sure that we've got we've got checklists and stuff in application now, and we have had a lot of some of it. So we said, right, we'll come out and help you. Let's get going. So we kind of put the extra effort in. If you want other kinds of money, you're going to have to do the same. But we're probably the easiest place to get some funding from. Some of the other funders are much stricter than we are. We need examined accounts and this and that. So yeah, I think in terms of the breakdowns, we do that by pet populations. The amounts are set by those particular neighborhoods that we work in, and the sort of Some of them have more or less residents depending on the boundaries you put around the neighborhood. So I think this year two, we just left it open to, you could apply for anything. There was a couple of areas where big 1 or 2 applicants applied for it all and then got it. And so the rest of them didn't get the smaller ones. This year, upon reflection and listening, taking feedback from the advisory group and what people had said, we actually went up to put out a vote for this one we just finished, saying to all the stakeholder groups and participants, would you like to limit? Here's different ways we could do that. We could have a set amount, we could have a percentage amount. And we got back really £2,500, that's it maximum. And that really worked well for some of the areas, but not so well for some of the other areas who had really big projects they wanted to do, which I didn't have a lot of smaller ones. So we've agreed this year we'll get the advisory group back together and maybe allow some discretion for each area to decide if it wants a lot of smaller projects or if it wants a bigger amount. And there's a couple of other things that we think we can provide discretion as long as they're well engaged on and open and transparent. And it's not just the stakeholder group making that decision. We're happy to support like a survey and some more votes on that for each area. So each area can stakeholder group can have its own set of terms and conditions of how it wants to do that, because the uniform is just didn't work this time, but it was a direct response to 2 applicants took all the money in 1 or 2. I think it was Cambuslang, it's actually 1 or 2 of them. And also some of the types of groups and organizations that could apply and the uses of the funds was hotly contested. And we took feedback and we had general consensus on most of it, except for the amount. So that's why we put that particular line up to a survey and asked people what the preference was, and there's a clear preference for £2,500. I think the 6 or 7% respondents, which 200 people applied of the 300 or 400 people we sent it to that participate in it, and then stakeholder groups. But then actually it didn't work for some. So we'll take that on board and we'll adapt it again for the next time we get large volumes of funding, which may be a while from now. Then in that case, they'll have a set of rules. So should they have more sets of fundings and things they want to get out for resources, but cater them again, have the capacity to do that in a very transparent way that manages functions of the funds.
Yeah, sure. It was around, so it's part 9, it was about period projects. So we had been told previously around about budget time, but we could reduce it was a recommendation to reduce the amount of money in that budget essentially, which was reflecting demand. But demand is obviously directly related to accessibility as well. So I just really want to keep an eye on where there are potential gaps in provision. So Cambuslang East, we've lost Western Hall, that's going for disposal. We've lost the library, that's now going for a CAT transfer. Solfitch, just over the border, of course, was mentioned, it's going to a CAT transfer. Northampton Hall has as well. So it would be good to know if we are keeping an eye on properties that used to be council and SLFC to make sure that products are still being provided there, that that's still being kept up to date. And I guess if we could have a breakdown at ward level perhaps of where you can actually access products and whether there's been any changes in that.
Absolutely provide that breakdown and we will. I'll have to come back to your platform. But yes, we are still in contact with all of those community organizations and others as we are in our travels and are continuing to deliver to those services where they're needed. We've also, off the back of that, started recognizing that might be an issue, started to engage more closely with health centres, and we're now using health centres almost as a drop-off and distribution points as well for local groups. So we've actually had we only manage, I should say, the community provision, so the savings and the non-access is in schools, since that part of the budget isn't managed through our service, but we do help and support them with that. So no, we're seeing an oversubscription and a lot. We're also doing some proactive stuff around period counts and first period packs and stuff in schools, and going and doing demonstrations where people want us to. It's Challenge Poverty Week this week, so Brian's been out with cranberry juice and tampons everywhere. So he's like exhausted and his period pants and things. So we've got quite a range of stock of things, and just managing the stock and making sure it gets out is very structured actually. And we have good feedback from the groups of how and when they order, so we can easily break that down. We keep pretty good records of that. It's actually we're growing leaps and bounds to the point where we're probably going to spend ministry training support to continue to provide them, because so in some way the most funding access is happening more in a community setting than municipal setting, so we don't need them from the school. That's gotten. And we're still offering postal to home for individuals if they need it. but on a needs basis. And to be honest, that's actually been reducing quite naturally anyways. That's the post-COVID people are getting out more, I guess. And we've had lessons to that service, but it's still a very high demand service and it's still a very needed service.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Katie. Any further questions for Jen? Robert?
Could I ask what the can do community fund, I mean, what did you say the actual figure allocated across the council for that was?
There was 200,000 given out and 10 grand given back, so 190,000 total. Yeah.
Essentially used 10,000 of that, which is a small percentage. I just wondered if there's issues of knowledge of that going round as well as capacity issues, because that's a good turnout for Rutherglen Cambuslang, some money available there. Was it felt to be a successful project across the rest of the area?
Yes, yeah, it was pretty competitive. It was actually one of the first times we had a competitive grant
Yeah.
program, which is why we had to come back here actually and ask for your, we hadn't actually assumed that would happen.
Yeah.
So normally we could just give it up because it's there, but we're like, oh, we're gonna have to make decisions. We can't do that. We have to go to committees for that. So no, it was quite popular across the piece. And we're just, again, we're getting reports back. It just started coming back in June. We've done this on a few. So we'll do a sort of grant program report on the impact that that's made. But it all went to projects that were building things, starting stuff, more established bigger groups. So some of the smaller community groups, I don't think they even think that they want to apply for £10,000, and some of the stuff, some of the PB, they couldn't manage that volume of funding as well. So, and I think other funders have reported the same as us. We've got Baslan brought together a funders forum now, and there's some black spots in South Lanarkshire and Rutherglen and Cambuslang is one of them. So there's, so we have been doing sort of series of workshops with them, funding workshops with them. They have a wellbeing fund that they introduced in this year. So we did PV and promoted the wellbeing fund at the same time. So if they weren't successful with the PV, we could refer them on to that but again, we want a really small amount of money. So I don't know if that's just about the state of community development or if that's about because we've got a lot of other services in here already and it's not as needed. Sometimes if we've got a lot of sort of infrastructure services being provided by the public sector, then the kids just don't need to do a lot of their own stuff. But what I would say is the types of stuff that they are funding is really focused on children and families and the child poverty we're seeing in the area. So they are doing, it's an interesting engagement exercise in that, like what they're asking you to do is, it doesn't cost a lot of money and it's adding a huge amount of value to people's lives and enrichment. So we want to continue as we can, but we want things like Burn Hill, who started out not even having a bank account, or being organised to now be incorporated and able to apply for large volumes of funding over the space of 5 years. That's just been such a stellar example of what can happen. But they're pretty determined and pretty committed, and they need that drive in any community project for that kind of growth and continuation. They're a bit scary sometimes, so it's like you say, they must. So it's. I think if it's smaller activity and it's community led, that passion, that commitment is to those kids, to those young people, to what a project is doing, it's really not broader, and that's sometimes happens. But yeah, we still don't really know why, but we do suspect it's just that just want to keep it small, and that's okay sometimes. But if we do have larger groups that want to do that, the support is there to find other funds. But yeah, it's not just our funds; it's all funds.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Okay, happy to note the report. Thanks very much, Jen. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 6 on the agenda. This is a regular item on the agenda, so the forward programme for future meetings. So any requests, if you could email myself and Shanna, then we'll take suggestions forwards. Item 7 on the agenda, we will take these separately. So we have Enable. We also have an application for the second Cambuslang Givers Brigade and Upstairs Kids Club. Is there any questions or comments on the awards? Okay, we're happy to approve them. Great, thank you, Andrea. You actually nodded there. Must be really careful. And I'll just let Margaret leave and then we'll take the last 2 grants. Okay, and the final 2 grants is Fernhill Communities Together and Fernhill Kids Play Scheme. Any questions or comments? Okay, happy to approve the grants. Okay, thank you very much. There's no further items of urgent business, so thank you for your time today. See you all soon. Take care.